crosswalk light was still red. Kenta, the traffic guard, stood with his little sign held out. He had done this job for years. Kids ran late. Cars ran early. His job was simple. Stop one. Let the other go. Then the air made a sound he had never heard before. It was not thunder. It was not a plane. It was a deep, ripping noise, like the sky itself had been pulled too hard. Kenta looked up. For one blink, the clouds split in a clean circle. Green light spilled out, bright and sharp. The light did not shine like the sun. It looked wrong, like a warning. Something fell out of the hole. It was big, too big. It dropped fast, like a stone thrown by a giant hand. Kenta's mouth went dry. He forgot his sign. He forgot the red light. He forgot everything except the thing falling from the sky. The impact hit a few blocks away. The ground jumped. It did not shake like a normal quake. It kicked upward once, hard, like the street had been punched from below. Windows burst. Car alarms screamed. A bus tipped on two wheels and slammed back down. People fell. Phones went dark for a second and then lit up with error screens. Kenta hit the pavement and tasted dust. A second later, the sound arrived. A boom that rolled through the city and bounced off buildings. It shoved air into his chest and made his ears ring. He pushed himself up. A black cloud of rubble dust rose in the distance. The skyline looked the same, but the street did not. The road had cracks now, like lightning had struck the concrete. "Everyone, back!" Kenta yelled, even though his voice sounded tiny. People ran anyway. A woman grabbed her child and pulled him behind a vending machine. A man tried to start his car and stalled. Someone screamed, "Nomu!" and that single word made panic spread faster. Kenta's eyes stayed locked on the dust. A shape moved inside it. At first, he thought it was a building piece falling. Then he saw it stand up. It was a person, sort of. Green skin, huge shoulders, arms thick like tree trunks. No costume, no hero suit, no mask, just torn pants and a body that looked like it was made for war. The giant stood in a crater that had used to be a street. He did not roar right away. He just stood there, chest rising, like he had run a long distance. His head turned slowly. He looked around as if the city was a strange room he had woken up in. Then the ground beside him groaned. A half-collapsed office tower leaned. The bottom floors crushed. Metal beams squealed. The building started to tip. People shrieked and ran. Kenta saw it fall toward the street where a crowd had gathered. He saw the line of cars that could not move. He saw the kid who had frozen in place. The green giant moved. Not like a normal person. Not like a Quirk user using speed. He moved like something heavy, deciding it would not wait. He crossed the crater in one step, then another. He reached the falling building. Kenta expected the giant to smash it. That's what monsters did. Smash. Instead, the giant caught it. Both hands went up. Fingers spread. The giant's palms hit concrete and steel. The falling weight should have crushed him. It didn't. The giant's arms bent slightly, like someone taking a heavy box. His feet sank into the asphalt. The street around his feet cracked wider. Then he pushed. He did not throw it. He did not slam it down. He set it down. Slow. Controlled. He angled the broken part away from the crowd. He lowered it until it rested against another building in a way that stopped it from toppling. The dust settled enough for Kenta to see the giant's face. It was not smiling. It was not calm. It looked tired and angry, like someone holding a storm inside their ribs. The crowd went quiet for 1 second. Then someone fired. Kenta never saw who. Maybe a nervous security guard. Maybe a small-time hero who thought they had to act first. A sharp sound. A flash. The shot hit the giant in the chest. It did nothing. The giant's eyes snapped to the source. His whole body tightened. The muscles in his neck rose like cables. Kenta felt the air change, like the city had stopped breathing. "Don't!" Kenta started, but the word died. The green giant opened his mouth. The roar that came out was not just noise. It was force. The sound wave hit the street and shoved people back. Cars slid sideways. Street signs bent. Dust blew out of the crater like a blast from a cannon. Kenta's knees hit the ground again. His head rang. His vision blurred. And then, through the chaos, he saw heroes arrive. A team leapt over rooftops. A rescue hero skidded into the street and threw up a barrier. Another hero yelled into a radio, voice shaking, "This is not a normal threat!" The giant turned, chest heaving. He stared at the heroes. His lips moved. He said something low, almost like a name. Kenta could not hear it over sirens, but the giant said it again, louder, like it mattered. Sakar. Then his fists clenched, and the crater cracked deeper under his feet, like the city itself was afraid of what he might do next. At UA, the warning alarms did not ring like a drill. They rang like a real emergency. Teachers moved fast. Students froze, then followed. Screens turned on all over the building. Live feeds filled the classroom walls. Izuku Midoriya sat forward so hard his chair legs scraped. The camera view shook. Someone filming from a drone kept losing focus because the air itself looked unstable near the crater. On the screen, the green giant stood like a mountain that could walk. Izuku's heart hammered. He had seen All Might fight Nomu. He had seen monsters. He had seen power. This felt different. Bakugo scoffed beside him, but even his voice had a sharp edge. "What is that? A mutant?" "No," Izuku whispered. "Eraserhead is there. If it was a quirk, he would shut it down." On the feed, Aizawa landed on a broken streetlight pole like it was normal ground. His scarf fluttered, not from wind, but from the pressure in the air. Aizawa's eyes narrowed. He watched the giant's breathing. He watched the hands. He watched the way the giant held himself, like he expected a fight even while standing still. Aizawa flicked his gaze toward the hero nearest the shooter. His voice was flat and sharp. "Who fired?" Nobody answered fast enough. Aizawa did not waste time with blame. He lifted his chin and spoke into his mic. "All units, do not engage unless you have a clear rescue reason. Get civilians out first. Keep distance." A hero in a bright rescue jacket shouted, "He just saved people." Another hero snapped back, "He just nearly flattened a block with a roar." Aizawa kept his eyes on the giant. He tried his quirk anyway. It was habit. It was training. It was the thing that made him feel like he had a handle on chaos. His eyes glowed red. Nothing changed. The giant did not blink like a quirk was being cut. He did not weaken. He did not stop being what he was. Aizawa's throat went tight. Not a quirk. That meant this thing did not fit any rule they were used to using. That meant the usual answers might not work. He spoke again. Quieter. Mostly to himself. Great. At the same time, far away in a quiet office with too many screens, All for One listened to the first reports. He did not watch the videos right away. He listened to the words. Erasure failed. Impact radius. Massive. Possible unknown energy. Not registered in Quirk databases. All for One's lips curved. A new piece had landed on the board, and it did not belong to anyone yet. Back at UA, Principal Nezu stood on a table in the emergency meeting room, small body still and eyes bright. The room was full. Pro-heroes, staff, a few government officials, and one tense representative from the Hero Public Safety Commission. Maps covered the walls. Red circles marked zones of damage and evacuation routes. Nezu clicked a remote. The screen showed the crater from above. The green giant was a dot in the center of it. A dot that had already moved a building. "We will start with facts," Nezu said. His voice was calm, like he was talking about a school problem, not a living disaster. "The subject is not responding to erasure. This suggests non-quirk origin, or a quirk outside our known biology." A commission official raised a hand with a stack of forms already clipped together. "We need a classification for threat level. We can't file an incident report with giant unknown written across it." Aizawa looked at the forms like they were a joke that had gone too far. "It's not a villain license application." The official frowned. "Everything has a category." Nezu smiled, small and polite. "Then we will make a new one." All Might stood at the back. He did not take the center of the room anymore. That was hard for some people to accept, but his voice still carried weight when he spoke. "He saved civilians," All Might said. "We saw him hold the building. That matters." Endeavor, arms crossed, flame beard flickering, snorted, and then he roared and nearly tore the street apart. That also matters. Hawks leaned against a wall, eyes half-lidded, voice light but serious. If this thing is not a quirk, it's either outside tech, outside biology, or outside reality. Any of those is bad. Nezu clicked again. The feed changed to a reading chart. Energy spikes, Nezu said. They correlate with his emotions. When he calmed to place the rebel down, readings lowered. When he was hit, readings rose. Aizawa's gaze flicked to All Might. All Might understood without needing it, said out loud. This was not a fight they could win by punching harder. Not anymore. Maybe not ever. Aizawa spoke, the words blunt. We treat him like a person, and we prepare like he's a weapon that could end a city. The commission official nodded quickly. Containment. All Might's eyes sharpened. No cages without reason. Endeavor's flames flared. If we wait, he'll walk through the next city. Aizawa cut in. If we rush, we make him angry, and he walks through the next city faster. Nezu tapped the table gently, a quiet sound that made the room listen. Our goal is not victory, Nezu said. Our goal is survival. Civilians first. Information second. Control, if possible. If not, we adapt. He turned to a map. We will establish a quarantine zone with layered evacuation routes. We will keep him away from dense areas. We will use drones and long-range sensors. No close-range attacks. No sudden moves, Aizawa added. And no more random shots. The room fell silent. In the hallway outside, Izuku stood with his classmates, watching through the open door. He was not part of the meeting, but he could hear enough. His fingers curled around his notebook without realizing it. In his mind, he replayed the clip of the green giant setting the building down. That was not what Nomu did. Nomu did not care. This thing cared, or at least, it could. Izuku's chest tightened with a strange feeling. Fear, yes, but also something else. If someone this strong could choose not to kill, then the choice mattered. He turned away from the door and headed to the dorm common room, where more screens showed live feeds. As he walked, the world inside One for All shifted. It was small at first, like a pressure change in his ears. Then it was clearer. A heavy presence. Old, deep, and angry. The vestige space inside him was not a place he controlled. It was a place he visited. Shadows of past holders stood there like quiet guards. This time, they were not quiet. The air in that inner space felt thick, like a storm had moved in. One of the older vestiges, calm, steady, looked toward a dark edge of the space. Something unseen pressed against it. This doesn't belong here, a vestige said softly. Izuku swallowed, even though this was in his mind. What is it? Not a quirk, the vestige answered, but power all the same. And pain. The word pain hit Izuku harder than the word power. Back at the crater, the green giant stood among broken asphalt and dust. His breathing slowed. The roar had let something out, but not enough. His body still wanted more. More fight. More release. More proof that he was not trapped. He looked at the city. Towers. Lights. People running like ants. His eyes narrowed. This was not New York. Not anywhere he knew. Not the ruins he carried in his head. His stomach twisted. He hated being confused. He hated being watched, too. A rescue hero moved at the edge of the zone, carefully dragging a trapped man away from rubble. The green giant watched. The hero did not attack him. The hero did not point a weapon. The hero just saved someone. The giant's shoulders dropped a fraction. Then a siren changed pitch. More heroes arrived, more voices, more radios. The giant's fists tightened again. Too many, too close. He took one step, then stopped, like he was fighting himself. In the distance, loudspeakers crackled. "This is the Hero Public Safety Commission," a voice said, trying to sound firm. "We are here to ensure public safety. Remain calm and comply." Aizawa winced before the sentence even finished. The word comply landed wrong in the air. The green giant's head snapped up. He did not know what the words meant, but he knew the tone. He knew authority. He knew someone trying to control him. He growled low. Aizawa spoke fast into his mic. "Cut the speakers, now!" The commission official on the ground protested. We have to communicate." Aizawa's eyes burned. "Not like that." The speakers died. A moment later, All Might arrived at the edge of the zone, not with a blast of speed, but with a firm walk and a steady stance. He stood where the giant could see him. He kept his hands open. He did not call the giant a monster. He did not call him a villain. He spoke in a clear voice that carried without shouting. "We're here to help," All Might said. "No one needs to be hurt." The green giant stared. He did not understand every word, but he understood the posture, the open hands, the lack of fear, or the choice to hide fear. The giant's face twisted, like the sight irritated him. He had seen men like this before. Symbols, leaders, heroes. Sometimes they were real, sometimes they lied. His chest rose. A sound like a broken engine came from his throat. All Might did not step forward. He waited. The green giant's eyes flicked to the civilians being evacuated, then back to All Might, then to the line of heroes. He spoke a few rough words, like rocks scraping. "Leave me." All Might nodded once. "We can do that, but we need everyone safe first." The green giant's jaw clenched. He looked away. He stomped once, not as an attack, but as a warning. The ground cracked again. Dust puffed up. Then he turned and walked toward the outskirts, away from the densest buildings, like he had chosen the path with less noise. Aizawa let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. Nezu's voice came over the comms from UA, calm and quick. "He's moving away from the city core. Maintain distance. Do not corner him. Update evacuation routes." Endeavor watched the retreating giant, jaw tight. He hated letting a threat walk, but he also saw the cracked street under the giant's feet. He saw the fact that the giant was walking, not rampaging, and that made him even more uneasy, because it meant this thing was choosing. That night, the quarantine zone became a new kind of border, not just a line on a map, a line of fear. Reporters gathered outside it. Citizens screamed at officials. Officials argued with heroes. Inside the zone, the green giant sat in the open, back against a broken bridge support. His knees were up. His arms rested on them like a man waiting for the world to decide what it wanted from him. Above, drones hovered at a safe distance. He watched them without moving. His eyes were half-lidded, but his body stayed ready, like a coiled spring. In a mobile command van outside the zone, the commission official tried to fill out a damage form. He wrote, "Cause unknown." He scratched it out. He wrote, "Cause giant." He scratched it out. He wrote, "Cause green anomaly." He circled it 3 times, then sighed like he had just lost a long fight. Aizawa sat across from him, tired eyes fixed on the live feed. "This is not paperwork," Aizawa said. The official snapped. "Everything becomes paperwork." Nezu's small face appeared on a screen in the van. "Both of you are correct," Nezu said pleasantly. "But one of you will keep us alive." Aizawa's mouth twitched, almost a smile, but it died quickly, because on the screen, the green giant shifted. He looked up at the sky. His lips moved. A word came out, soft and ugly with hurt. "Ship." Aizawa leaned forward. The giant's brow furrowed. He stared into the distance, as if he could see something far away that no one else could. Then he whispered again, voice like gravel. "They lied." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. Not a villain speech, not a plan, a memory, pain. And if Nezu's chart was right, pain was the match that could light this bomb. In a hidden place far from cameras, All for One watched the feeds now. Beside him, a subordinate asked nervous, "Do we attack it?" All for One's voice was smooth. "No," he said, "not yet. First we learn what makes it move, what makes it stop, what makes it break." He tapped a finger on a screen showing the giant setting down the broken building. "It can choose," All for One murmured. "Good. That means it can be guided." He smiled wider. "And if it can be guided," he said, "it can be aimed." The next morning, the first major test arrived without warning. Not from the green giant. From the shadows that always tried to turn fear into a weapon. Hawks got the first sign. He was in the air, circling wide, watching roads and rooftops. A ripple moved through his feathers. A signal pinged in his earpiece. Unknown movement. Fast. Heavy. Not civilian. Not rescue. He tilted his wings and dropped lower. On an empty highway leading toward the quarantine zone, something ran on all fours for a second, then stood up. It was shaped like a man, but wrong. Too tall. Too thick. Skin patched. Mouth split too wide. High-end Nomu. And it was not alone. Two more came behind it, leaping from overpasses like hunting dogs. Hawks' stomach tightened. This was not a random villain attack. This was a message. He spoke into comms, voice still calm. We've got high-ends moving toward the zone. This is planned. Best Genist's reply was sharp. Confirmed. All units, shift to threat interception. Keep them away from civilians. Endeavor's voice cut in, hot and eager. Finally! Aizawa, already on the ground near the zone, snapped. Not finally. Carefully. Hawks could almost hear Endeavor's teeth grind through the mic. The first high-end hit a guard line and tore through it like paper. Not because the heroes were weak, but because the Nomu did not care if it lost parts. It kept moving. It did not head toward the city. It headed toward the green giant. Hawks understood the plan in one heartbeat. Someone wanted them to fight near the giant. Someone wanted the giant angry. Hawks dove, feathers shooting out like blades. He sliced tendons, pinned limbs, slowed the Nomu without staying close enough to be grabbed. But the Nomu did not stop. It crawled forward, dragging itself like a nightmare. And then it crossed into the quarantine zone. Aizawa saw it first. His eyes went red and locked on it. The Nomu's movements stuttered. Not the giants. The Nomu's. That meant erasure worked on this target. Good. Aizawa's scarf snapped out, wrapping the Nomu's neck, yanking it back. For a moment, it looked like the heroes might keep this clean. Then the second high-end slammed into a concrete barrier and sent chunks flying. Those chunks rolled into the open space where the green giant sat. They clattered near his feet. He did not move right away. He stared at them. Then he looked up. He saw the Nomu, the patched skin, the dead eyes. His face changed. It was not fear. It was recognition. He had fought creatures like this. Things built to kill. Things that did not stop. His breath came faster. The air pressure rose again, subtle but real. Dust lifted in small spirals. Aizawa's eyes flicked to the giant. He spoke hard into comms. Keep the Nomu away from him. Now! Best Genist's cable shot out, binding the second Nomu's arms and pulling it sideways. Mirko hit the third Nomu like a cannonball, her kick cracking its jaw and sending it skidding across the road. Endeavor arrived in a blaze, fire rolling off him in waves. He punched flame into the air and drove the Nomu back with heat. The green giant stood. Slowly, the ground under him creaked. He took one step toward the fight. Aizawa raised a hand, even though he knew the giant might not care. Stay back, Aizawa said, more to the world than to the giant. The giant did not stop, not because he wanted to hurt heroes. Because to him, this was simple. There were hunters, and there was him. He moved forward and grabbed the first Nomu by the head with one hand. It thrashed, claws scraping his forearm. The claws did not cut deep. They drew lines, not wounds. The giant's fingers tightened. The Nomu's skull crunched like brittle stone. The body went limp. Every hero on the line froze for one fraction of a second. Even Endeavor's flame flickered, just a little, from surprise. The giant dropped the broken Nomu like trash. Then he turned to the second. It rushed him, mouth open, teeth like knives. The giant did not dodge. He met it with his shoulder. The impact sounded like a car hitting an auto wall. The Nomu flew backward, smashing through a concrete divider and tumbling across the highway. Best Genist's cable snapped taut as he tried to hold it. His face tightened with effort. It's too strong, Genist muttered. Not ashamed, just honest. The giant stepped over the barrier like it was a curb. He reached the Nomu and slammed his fist down once. The road caved in. A crater formed under the Nomu like the ground had been scooped out. The Nomu tried to get up. The giant slammed again. The crater deepened. The Nomu's body stopped moving. Endeavor's pride flared. He hated watching someone else end the threat. He hated even more that the someone else was not even wearing a hero suit. He shot forward, flames roaring, and aimed a blast at the giant's back. "Hey!" Endeavor barked. "You don't get to decide!" All Might's voice cracked through comms, urgent. "Endeavor, stop!" Endeavor did not stop. The blast hit the giant's shoulder. It did not burn through. It did not knock him down. But it was an attack. The giant turned slowly. His eyes locked onto Endeavor, and something in that look made the air feel colder even with all the fire around. Endeavor held his stance. He was not a man who backed down. "I'm not afraid of you," Endeavor said through grit teeth. The giant took one step. The pressure spiked. Small cracks spidered out across the road. Hawks's feathers hovered mid-air for a second as the air trembled. Aizawa's mind raced. If the giant hit Endeavor here, in this zone, the shock alone could throw debris for blocks. It could kill rescue teams. It could crush civilians who were still being moved out. Aizawa's plan for worst case ran through his head like cold water, and it all ended the same way. They could not beat him. They could only steer the disaster. All Might moved in person, not fast, not flashy. He stepped between Endeavor and the giant, arms open again. He looked small compared to both of them, but he did not flinch. "You're angry," All Might said, voice steady. "I understand, but he's not your enemy." The giant's chest rose and fell fast. He stared at All Might's open hands. A memory flickered behind his eyes. Another man with open hands, another promise, another lie. His fists shook. Then, from behind the line, a cry cut through. "Help! Please!" It was a civilian voice. A small group had been trapped under an overpass that cracked during the fight. Rescue teams were trying to lift a beam, but it was too heavy. The giant's head snapped toward the sound. For 1 second, his anger paused. Not gone, paused. All Might caught that tiny shift and pushed it. "People are hurt," All Might said. "You can help them. Right now." Endeavor glared at All Might, like he had just been ordered to swallow fire. But even Endeavor saw the truth. If the giant chose the rescue, the city lived. If the giant chose the fight, the city might not. The giant took a step toward the overpass instead of toward Endeavor. Aizawa breathed again. Hawks let out a silent laugh of relief and pain. "We're really doing this," he muttered. The giant reached the broken overpass. He put both hands under a huge beam, lifted it like it was a heavy table, and held it up while rescue heroes pulled people out. A little girl crawled free, sobbing. She looked up at the giant's face and froze. The giant looked back. His face did not soften much. He was not gentle in a normal way, but he did not scare her on purpose. He did not lean in. He did not roar. He just held the beam steady. When the last person was out, he set the beam down slowly, the same careful way he had set the building down the day before. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't, because the third high end, the one Mirko had knocked away, chose that moment to leap. It did not go for the heroes. It went for the civilians running behind the rescue line. It moved like a missile. Mirko sprinted to intercept, but she was too far. Hawks threw feathers, but they hit air as the Nomu twisted. Best Genist's cables were still tangled from the other Nomu. Aizawa tried to lock eyes with it, but dust and debris blocked his view for a split second. The Nomu reached the fleeing crowd. The green giant saw it. The world narrowed. Hunt, kill, screams. His body reacted before thought. He crossed the distance in a blur of raw force and slammed into the Nomu from the side. They crashed through the ground like a dropped building. A shockwave rolled out in a circle, flattening grass and knocking people off their feet. Cars bounced. The Nomu's claws ripped into the giant's side. This time, it drew more blood. The giant did not scream. He grabbed the Nomu's arm and tore it off. The Nomu tried to regenerate. It twisted, mouth snapping, and drove its other claws into the giant's shoulder. The giant's eyes went wider. Pain fed anger. Anger fed power. The air pressure spiked again. Rocks rattled in place. Loose street signs shook like they wanted to fall. Aizawa's voice turned hard, almost desperate. "Evacuate! Now! All civilians out! Move!" Heroes ran, not in defeat, but in the only smart direction. Away. The green giant lifted the Nomu above his head. He slammed it down once. The ground split. He slammed it again. The crack widened, racing along the highway like a jagged line. He slammed it a third time. The Nomu stopped moving. Then the giant stood over it, breathing hard, blood running down his side. His hands trembled. The world felt like it was holding its breath with him. And then the villain side of the world decided to poke the bear one more time. From a rooftop far away, a figure watched with bright, hungry eyes. Tamura Shigaraki had come out of curiosity and spite. He did not like surprises he did not control. He did not like monsters that stole attention. He wanted to know if this thing could be erased like everything else. Shigaraki moved fast, using broken paths and shadows. He came in low and sudden, like a hand reaching for a switch. He aimed for one touch. Just one. His fingers reached the green giant's ankle. Decay. For an instant, the skin under Shigaraki's hand turned gray and rough, like stone beginning to crumble. The giant's head snapped down. The pain was different from claws. It was wrong. It felt like being pulled apart from the inside. The giant's eyes widened, not with fear, but with a sharp, angry shock. He grabbed. Shigaraki jerked back, but the giant's fingers brushed his sleeve and tore it like paper. Shigaraki's heart jumped. He had fought strong heroes. He had fought monsters. This was not a match he could control with a simple touch. Not the way he expected. He stepped back onto a broken wall, eyes narrowed, lips curling. Interesting, Shigaraki muttered. The giant took one step toward him. The ground cracked under that step. Shigaraki felt it in his teeth. He could keep testing. He could push harder. He could risk it. But Shigaraki was not stupid. He did not throw his life away for pride. Not today. He vanished back into the ruins, leaving behind only a scrape of dust and a bitter laugh. Hawk saw the movement and cursed under his breath. We've got League activity. Of course we do. Aizawa's eyes tracked the retreat, then snapped back to the green giant. The giant stood in the middle of broken road, blood on his skin, chest heaving. His gaze swept across the heroes, across Endeavor's flames, across All Might's open hands, across the civilians being carried away. He did not understand their world. He did not know their names, but he knew one thing. They were all watching him, and someone out there had sent hunters at him on purpose. He growled low, the sound thick with warning. Aizawa spoke into comms, voice tight. This was a test. Someone wanted this near him. Nezu answered from UA, voice calm but colder now. Agreed, which means we should expect a second test. Or a trap. The commission official in the van stared at his clipboard like it had insulted him. He wrote under threat classification, and then stopped because there was no number big enough. He ended up writing, in messy letters, world changing. Then he sighed and added a note under it, as if it mattered to the universe. Also, subject refuses to stay inside designated lines. Aizawa almost laughed. Almost. But he didn't. Because in front of him, the green giant lifted his head and looked at the city again. His eyes burned with anger that had not finished burning. And everyone who understood power, even a little, understood the same thing at once. They had not survived a fight. They had survived the first warning. And now the whole world knew there was something walking in it that could break everything, even by accident, if the wrong people pushed the wrong buttons. By the third hour after the Nomu attack, the quarantine border stopped looking like a line on a map and started looking like a wall between two worlds. On one side, there was a normal city that wanted to pretend it was still normal. Sirens still worked. People still argued on the street. Reporters still shoved microphones at anyone with a uniform. On the other side, there was broken road, tilted concrete, and a green giant sitting in open space like he owned the ground under him. Hawks flew slow circles above it all, high enough that his shadow did not scare the crowd. His eyes tracked small things first. Loose rubble, cracks growing, a rescue team moving too close, a camera drone drifting nearer than it should. Then he tracked the big thing. The giant was still, but still did not mean safe. Hawks had learned that lesson from too many villains. Still could mean waiting. Still could mean holding back. A man in a suit shouted up at Hawks from behind the police tape. "Hey, hero! Is it true it killed a high-end with one hand?" Hawks didn't answer. He didn't even look down. He spoke into his comm instead, voice quiet. "The media is going to turn this into a scoreboard." Best Genist replied from ground control. "They already are." Hawks glanced at the nearby news screens. A reporter stood in front of a cracked highway with bright red graphics behind her. Numbers popped up beside images of broken buildings. Estimated damage. Evacuation count. Hero response time indicating too slow. A big question mark labeled unknown threat. Hawks clicked his tongue. Yeah, a scoreboard. Down below, a commission official held a clipboard like it was a shield. He kept switching pens because the tips snapped from pressure. He turned to Aizawa, who stood beside the command van, eyes tired and face unreadable. "We need a category," the official said. "We need a threat level. We need a legal label for what we're allowed to do." Aizawa stared past him at the giant in the distance. "You can label it whatever you want. The label won't stop it." "That's not the point," the official snapped. Then he caught himself and lowered his voice. "If the public thinks we're helpless, we lose order." Aizawa's gaze stayed flat. "If you provoke him to look strong, you lose the city." The official swallowed. He tried to laugh like it was a joke. It came out like a cough. Nezu's voice came over the van speaker, calm as always. "Mr. Sato, you're holding the wrong kind of shield." The official stiffened. "Principal Nezu, with respect, we are dealing with a person-shaped disaster," Nezu finished, still polite. "Yes, I know. That is why we must think like rescue workers first, and like lawyers second." The official muttered. "Lawyers keep civilization running." Aizawa said, "So do rescue workers." A few meters away, All Might stood with his hands on his hips, chest rising a little too hard for someone who used to fill a skyline with confidence. He listened to the arguing and felt the weight of every word. He kept his eyes on the giant. The giant had moved once since the fight ended, not toward the city. He had shifted closer to the broken overpass where civilians had been trapped earlier. He sat with his back against the concrete support, like he had chosen a spot that made sense to him. He was watching the rescue teams. All Might could not read his expression well from this distance, but he could see something important. The giant did not attack. He did not chase. He did not try to run. He waited. All Might leaned closer to Aizawa and spoke softly. "He's not hunting." Aizawa didn't look at him. "Neither is a storm, and storms still kill." All Might's jaw tightened. "We still don't shoot storms. We prepare. We guide people out of the way." Aizawa finally looked at him. His eyes were hard, but not cruel. "If he turns into a storm, how do we guide it?" All Might had no easy answer. That scared him more than any punch. Across the city, inside UA's emergency meeting room, Izuku sat on a chair that felt too small for the problem in front of him. He held his notebook, but he wasn't writing. His hands were shaking just a little. On the big screen, the feed showed the giant's back and shoulders, green skin marked with fresh claw lines, dried blood near his side. Eraserhead and other pros moved like ants around a volcano. Bakugo paced behind Izuku, arms crossed. "This is stupid," Bakugo said. "Why are they letting him sit there? Blast him until he drops." Izuku flinched. "That's not how it works." Bakugo scoffed. "Everything drops." Todoroki's voice came calm from the side. "Not everything. Some things just break everything around them." Uraraka hugged her own arms. "He saved people," she said, like she needed to remind herself too. Ieda stood straight, trying to hold order in a room full of fear. "We must trust the professionals. Panic helps villains." Izuku heard them all, but his mind kept replaying one moment. The giant lifting the beam, holding it steady, waiting until the last civilian crawled out. That was a choice. A monster that only destroyed would not make that choice. His chest tightened with the same heavy pressure he had felt before. The strange storm inside. One for all. He closed his eyes for half a second. In the dark inner space of the Quirk, the vestiges stood like quiet shadows. This time, they didn't feel quiet. They felt alert. One of them, with a steady posture and a serious face, looked at Izuku like he was about to walk into a dangerous test. "You feel it," the vestige said. Izuku swallowed. "Yes, it's heavy. It is pain," the vestige said. "It is anger built on pain." Izuku opened his eyes. "Can it be stopped?" The vestige did not answer with comfort. "It can be steered. Sometimes, if you understand what it wants." Izuku looked back at the screen. What does it want? He didn't know, but he knew what everyone else wanted from it. The Commission wanted control. Villains wanted chaos. Heroes wanted a way to save people without starting a war they could not win. And somewhere in the middle, there was a giant who might not even know why he was here. That afternoon, the public argument got louder. A group of angry citizens gathered behind the barricades, shouting at heroes and officials. "You let it walk around! My house is gone! My kid can't sleep!" A man held up a phone, showing a slow-motion clip of Endeavor's flame hitting the giant. The man yelled, "Even Endeavor can't stop it! What are we paying for?" The Commission official's face turned red. He raised his hands. "We are controlling the situation." A woman screamed, "Control? It's sitting there like a king." Hawks landed lightly on a streetlight pole, staying above the crowd. He felt the anger like heat rising. This was how things broke. Not just buildings. Trust. And when trust broke, villains slid in like water through cracks. Hawks spoke into comms again, voice clipped. "We need a message that doesn't sound like a threat or a lie. People are about to lose it." Nezu answered from UA. "Agreed, but we must choose every word." Aizawa's eyes flicked toward the quarantine zone again. "Words don't matter if someone shoots again," All Might said. "Then we make sure no one shoots." Aizawa exhaled. "That's not a plan. That's a wish." Nezu's tone stayed steady. "Then we build a plan out of a wish." Nezu called a private meeting that night. Not for the cameras, not for the public, just the people who could change what happened next. In the UA meeting room, the air smelled like coffee and stress. Maps covered the walls. Video stills showed the giant's face in different angles. Nezu sat on the table again, small paws folded. All Might stood near the screen, arms at his sides, shoulders tense. Aizawa leaned against the wall, eyes half-lidded but focused. Hawks rested against a chair with his wings tucked tight, pretending he wasn't tired. Endeavor sat with his arms crossed, like the chair was insulting him. "We have 3 problems," Nezu began. 1. We do not know what the subject is. 2. We do not know what he will do if pushed too far. 3. Someone else is already trying to push him. Hawks lifted a brow. "You think the Nomu attack was bait?" Nezu nodded. "It was not random. It was too clean. Too timed." Aizawa's voice was flat. "Someone wants him angry. Someone wants him moving." Endeavor scoffed. "Then we crush whoever is sending Nomu." Hawks looked at Endeavor. "If it was that easy, we wouldn't have a villain problem." All Might stepped forward. "We can't treat him like a villain. He saved civilians. He is reacting. He is not hunting." Endeavor's flames flickered. "He is still a threat." All Might didn't deny it. "Yes, but threats can be people too." Nezu tapped the screen, zooming in on a frame of the giant's face. The eyes were narrowed. The jaw was clenched. "Notice this," Nezu said. "His spikes happen when he feels cornered or attacked. His low points happen when he is doing rescue work or watching rescue work." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "So we distract him with rescue?" Nezu's smile was small. "We align with his behavior. We reduce triggers. We increase calm conditions." Hawks gave a short laugh. "So our plan is, don't make him mad." Nezu's eyes shone. "A plan can be simple. Execution is the hard part." All Might said, "We need contact. Real contact. Not speakers. Not orders. Not threats." Aizawa's gaze sharpened. "Who goes close?" The room went quiet. No one wanted to say the obvious, because close meant within reach. Endeavor broke the silence, voice rough. "I will." Aizawa's head turned fast. "No." Endeavor's eyes narrowed. "Why not?" Aizawa didn't blink. "Because you already hit him. Because you're proud. Because you won't stop yourself if you feel challenged." Endeavor's jaw clenched. For a second, his flame grew. Then he forced it down. All Might said, softer, "You're not a bad man, Endeavor. But this is not your kind of fight." Endeavor looked away like the words tasted bitter. Hawk said, "What about a rescue hero? Someone calm, someone who talks." Aizawa replied, "Talk doesn't stop a punch." Nezu looked at All Might. "Symbolism matters, even when power is limited." All Might inhaled. "I can speak to him again." Aizawa's voice was quiet but firm. "We do it with layers. Distance teams. Evac routes. No surprises." Nezu nodded. "And we prepare for something else." Hawks tilted his head. "What else?" Nezu's smile faded slightly. "The second problem. We do not know what he is, so we cannot predict what he is capable of. We must assume the worst." Aizawa's fingers flexed. "That's already what I'm doing." Nezu's eyes flicked to a different screen. On it was a long list of forms and protocols. "Also," Nezu added, "the Commission would like us to name him for the reports." Hawks groaned. "Oh no." Nezu read from the list. Suggested labels include Green Disaster, Titan Threat, Unknown Giant. Aizawa muttered, "Stop." All Might's lips twitched, almost a smile. "What does he call himself?" Nezu looked at the footage again, the giant's mouth moving. That one word he had growled. "Hulk," Nezu said. The Commission representative, on a video call from another office, frowned. "That's not a legal name." Aizawa said, "Neither is All Might, and we managed." Hawk smirked. "Put it on the forms. Subject, Hulk. Threat level, yes." The representative did not laugh. Nezu ended the meeting with a calm order. "Keep the zone stable. Gather data. Prepare a controlled contact attempt at dawn. In the same city, far from UA, and far from cameras, All for One held his own meeting. Not with heroes. With tools. He watched the same footage Nezu had watched, but he did not see ethics. He saw buttons. He paused on the moment Endeavor hit the giant. He paused on the moment the giant froze, then moved toward rescue instead of revenge. A hero struck him, All for One said softly, and yet he chose to rescue. A subordinate shifted nervously. "So, he is good?" All for One's smile widened. "No, he is hurt." He tapped the screen, showing the giant whispering, "Ship lied. All pain has a story," All for One said, "and stories can be twisted." He leaned back, fingers steepled. "We do not need to defeat him. We need to aim him." The subordinate swallowed. "How?" All for One's eyes gleamed. "We show him betrayal. We show him cages. We show him the worst in heroes." "And if he still chooses rescue?" the subordinate asked. All for One chuckled. "Then we use the rescue too." He stood. "Prepare a second wave. Something that can survive long enough to keep him angry. Something that makes heroes look like the ones who caused the pain." The subordinate nodded quickly. "Nomu." All for One's voice turned almost gentle. "A special one, tuned to his flavor." He did not say the word gamma. He did not need to. The air around him already felt like rot and old secrets. Morning came with cold wind and tired faces. All Might walked toward the quarantine border with Aizawa at his side. They stopped at the last barricade. Ahead, in open space, Hulk stood. He was awake. He had not slept in a way humans would recognize, but he had rested enough to be ready. His eyes locked on the two approaching figures. Aizawa stayed back. He was not the speaker. He was the safeguard. All Might stepped forward alone, slowly, hands open. Hulk's lip curled. He looked at the hands and remembered lies. All Might stopped at a safe distance. He didn't cross the invisible line that felt like too close. "My name is All Might," he said. He pointed at his own chest as he spoke, simple and clear. "I'm a hero." Hulk's brow furrowed. He understood the tone more than the words. All Might continued. "We don't want to hurt you." Hulk's mouth pulled into a grim shape. "Lies," he rumbled. The word rough. All Might didn't flinch. "You don't have to trust me yet, but you can watch what we do." He turned slightly and gestured toward rescue crews working at the edge of the zone. "See?" All Might said. "We help people." Hulk's eyes tracked the crews. He saw them lift rubble. He saw them carry injured people. He saw the way they didn't stop even when their hands shook. His breathing slowed just a fraction. All Might took that moment. and pushed gently. "We want to know who you are, not to cage you, to understand, so we can keep people safe." Hulk's fists clenched. The word cage hit like a punch. His chest tightened. Aizawa's scarf shifted. "Ready." All Might held steady. "If you don't want to talk, that's your choice. But please, don't attack the people who are helping." Hulk stared at him hard. Then Hulk looked past All Might, to the cameras far away, to the drones, to the soldiers at the border. Too many watchers, too many cages that weren't built yet, but were already imagined. Hulk growled low. "Leave." All Might nodded once, accepting the boundary. "We will." He stepped back, slowly. As he did, something changed. Hulk's shoulders sagged for one heartbeat, like a weight fell inside him. His eyes unfocused. His breathing changed. Aizawa noticed first. His posture stiffened. All Might felt it too, like the giant's presence shifted sideways. Hulk's hands trembled. His head lowered. Then, in a voice that did not sound like Hulk's, a strained human voice broke through, thin and terrified. "Please, don't make him think you're the enemy." All Might froze. Aizawa's eyes widened just slightly. The giant lifted his head again. The face was still the same, green and heavy, but the eyes looked different for a moment. More aware, more scared. "My name is..." The voice swallowed. "Bruce Banner." The name meant nothing to them, but the way he said it meant everything. All Might's voice softened. "Bruce Banner. I hear you." Banner's eyes flicked around like he was waking in a nightmare. "Where am I?" Aizawa took one step forward without thinking, then stopped himself. "Not our world," he said, blunt. "Not ours." Banner's mouth opened. He tried to breathe calmly, like he was counting in his head. "He gets worse when he loses hope," Banner said fast, words spilling as if time was running out. "If you corner him, he will break things he doesn't want to break." All Might stepped forward one small pace. "Careful. We won't corner him." Banner's face tightened. "Someone is trying to make you do it. Someone sent those monsters. They want him angry." Aizawa's voice was sharp. "Who?" Banner swallowed. "I don't know your villains, but I know the smell of a trap." His eyes squeezed shut. His hands clenched. The change came back like a wave. Banner's face twisted with pain. The human fear vanished under a rising roar. Hulk slammed his fist into the ground. Not at them. Not as an attack. As if he was smashing the moment to keep it from happening again. The shock rocked the air. Dust puffed. Aizawa braced. When the dust settled, Hulk's eyes were back to the hard, angry stare. He glared at All Might like he was embarrassed the other voice had come out at all. "Go," Hulk growled. All Might backed away at once, heart pounding for a different reason now. They had a name, not a famous one, not a known one, but a name meant a person. A person meant choices mattered, and now the world would fight over what to do with that fact. By noon, the rumor was everywhere. Some news outlets claimed the giant was two beings in one body. Some said it was a quirk. Some said it was a lie to calm the public. The commission tried to keep it quiet. They failed. A leaked audio clip hit the internet. Banner's voice saying, "Please, don't make him think you're the enemy." The public reacted like the city had been split in two. One side said, "He can talk. That means he can be reasoned with." The other side said, "He can talk. That means he can be tricked." And villains, listening from dark places, smiled. In the UA dorm common room, Izuku watched the clip again and again. Bruce Banner. He mouthed the name like it was a puzzle piece he could finally hold. Uraraka sat beside him, staring at the screen. He sounded scared. Izuku nodded. He did. Bakugo snorted. "Scared? That thing can crush a building." Izuku looked at Bakugo, eyes serious. "Strong people can still be scared." Bakugo opened his mouth to argue, then shut it. He didn't have an easy insult for that. Todoroki's gaze stayed on the screen. "Two voices," he said quietly, "like a storm and a person." Izuku's fingers tightened around his notebook. "If we can reach Banner again, maybe we can find a way to keep Hulk calm." Ida looked troubled. "But the commission will not like that. They will want control." Izuku's face tightened. Control might be the worst trigger. That evening, Nezu sat in his office and stared at a new set of documents. At the top of one, a commission lawyer had written, Subject, Hulk, alias, possible second identity, Bruce Banner, unverified. Under it was a new form, Behavior Risk Profile, Containment Recommendation, Public Messaging Plan, Budget Request for Special Infrastructure. Nezu sighed and took a small bite of cheese from a plate beside him, not for comfort, just because his body still needed fuel. He pushed the plate away and spoke into his mic. Aizawa, All Might. Hawks, we have a narrow window. Aizawa answered at once. Banner. Nezu nodded even though they couldn't see him. Yes, Banner is our key to calm, but Banner is also fragile. If we frighten him, we lose him. Hawk's voice came next, and villains will try to frighten him on purpose. Nezu's tone turned sharper. Correct. Which is why we must move him. Aizawa went still. Move him where? Nezu clicked a button. A map appeared on everyone's screens. A remote facility outside major population centers, old support tech labs, heavy foundations, wide open land. A place built for testing large-scale equipment, Nezu said. A place with fewer civilians. A place with controlled access. Hawks whistled softly. You want to escort Hulk to a lab? Aizawa's voice was flat. That sounds like a cage. Nezu didn't deny it. It could become one. That is why we must be honest with Banner if he appears again. We are not trapping him. We are reducing risk. All Might said, if we force it, it becomes betrayal. Nezu agreed. So we do not force. We offer. We guide. We keep distance. And we pray villains don't light the match first. In the shadows, that match was already being prepared. All for One special Nomu stood in a dark room, chained to the floor. It was bigger than most high-ends. Its skin looked thicker, like armor grown from muscle. Its eyes were dead, but its body moved with restless strength. Sensors and tubes ran into it. Strange machines hummed. A scientist with shaking hands said, It's stable. All for One's voice drifted from the darkness. Stable is boring. The scientist swallowed. Its pain response is unusual. It gets stronger as it takes damage. It will not stop. All for One's smile widened. Perfect. He stepped closer. And the trigger? The scientist hesitated. We can broadcast false commission orders, fake capture protocols, fake betrayal. All for One's eyes gleamed. Do it. He turned away, coat swaying. I want the giant to believe the heroes are the ones who hurt him. The scientist whispered, and if he still chooses rescue? All for One paused at the door and looked back. Then, he said softly, we make the rescue the knife. The next day, the escort began. It did not look like a parade. It looked like disaster, planning in motion. Roads were closed ahead of time. Side streets were blocked. Evac teams waited with buses. Heroes did not surround Hulk. They stayed wide. They moved like a net that did not tighten, only guided. All Might walked at the front, far enough away to not be a threat, close enough to be seen. Aizawa stayed on a rooftop line, eyes tracking every movement, ready for villain interference. Hawks patrolled the sky, feathers spread like sensors. Best Genist coordinated through comms. Endeavor flew above the line, flames low, pretending he was there for the city and not for his pride. And in the center, Hulk walked. He did not like walking with watchers, but he liked the idea of leaving the loud city more. He smelled fewer people as they moved outward. He heard fewer sirens. The air felt less crowded. That helped. His body still hummed with anger, but it was not boiling. Every time he saw a hero move too fast, his muscles tightened. Every time he heard a radio bark an order, his jaw clenched. But then he saw evacuation teams moving families safely. He saw rescue workers clearing roads for ambulances. It confused him. It slowed the rage, just a little. Behind All Might, a small convoy of support vehicles rolled. Inside one, a commission official stared at the window like he expected Hulk to turn and smash the truck just for being there. He held a thick folder on his lap. On the cover, in bold letters it read, Special Incident Cost Estimate, Hulk Event. He muttered to himself, he's going to bankrupt us. Aizawa, walking near the vehicle, heard it. He didn't smile, but his voice was dry. Worry about the money later. Worry about living first. The official snapped. Money is how we fix things. Aizawa glanced at the cracked horizon behind them. Then, you're going to need a lot. Hours later, the remote facility came into view. It sat on open land, with strong walls, wide gates, and heavy ground. Not pretty, not welcoming, but built to hold large machines and withstand accidents. Hulk slowed as he approached. The gate looked like a cage. His chest tightened. All Might raised a hand, palm out, not as a stop, but as a calm signal. He spoke in the same steady voice. We're not trapping you, All Might said. We chose this place because there are fewer people here. Hulk stared at the walls. His breath grew loud. Aizawa's scarf twitched. Then, for 1 second, Hulk's eyes flickered. Banner pushed up like a man surfacing from deep water. He looked at the facility and winced. This looks bad, Banner whispered. All Might nodded. I know, but it's safer than the city. Banner's eyes darted to the heroes. He hates cages. Aizawa said, blunt but honest. So do we, but we hate bodies under rubble more. Banner swallowed. If you lie to him, you die. All Might's voice stayed firm. Then we won't lie. Banner tried to say more, but the moment slipped. Hulk's face hardened again. He stepped forward anyway, not because he trusted them, because he wanted quiet, and because some part of him remembered the last time he had been chased, cornered, and used. He wanted to avoid repeating it. Inside the facility, support tech staff kept their distance, like they were facing a wild animal. They were not trained for this. Their hands shook over consoles. Nezu's voice came through speakers inside the main control room, calm but careful. No sudden alarms, Nezu instructed. No loud announcements, no containment language. Focus on safety procedures only. A technician whispered, What do we call him? Another whispered back, Don't call him anything. In a separate room, the commission official tried to set up a temporary, damage scoring board for tracking costs. Hawks walked by and saw it. Hawks stared at the screen. Is that a point system? The official straightened. Defensive. It's an assessment tool. Hawks pointed at a category that literally said, Walls destroyed. ST. The official coughed. We need numbers. Hawks sighed. If he sees you counting walls, he's going to make the number bigger. Before the official could answer, every monitor in the facility flickered. A short burst of static ran through the screens. A technician frowned. We're getting an outside broadcast. Nezu's voice sharpened. Block it. It was too late. Speakers crackled. A firm, official-sounding voice filled the facility, loud enough to reach the open testing yard where Hulk stood. Subject is to be restrained immediately, the voice announced. Initiate capture protocol. Use force if necessary. Priority is containment. Aizawa's eyes went wide. That's not us. Hawks's feathers lifted. That's a fake. The commission official went pale. That sounds like our channel. All Might spun toward the yard. Cut it, now! The speakers went dead, but the words were already inside Hulk's head. Restrained. Capture. Containment. Cage. Hulk's breathing turned fast. His fists clenched. The ground under his feet creaked like it was about to split. All Might rushed out, stopping at the edge of safe distance again. That wasn't us, he called. Someone is lying. Hulk turned his head slowly. His eyes burned. In his mind, lies stacked on top of lies. A ship, a prison, a world that cheered when he fought and didn't care when he bled. He took one step. The ground cracked. Aizawa's voice snapped through comms. Evac teams, move staff out, now! Everyone clear the yard! Technicians ran. Then the second part of the trap arrived. The ground near the facility fence exploded outward as something smashed through from below. A huge Nomu rose up like a monster, climbing out of a grave. It was bigger than the high ends from the city. Its skin looked layered. Its muscles moved like engines. Its mouth opened, and the sound it made was not a roar. It was a broken laugh. Mirko launched forward instantly, not from fear, but from instinct. I've got it! She hit the Nomu's head with a kick that would have shattered a normal villain. The Nomu's head snapped sideways. Then it snapped back. It grinned wider. Mirko's eyes widened just a little. "Oh, you're built different." Best Jeanist's cables shot out, wrapping the Nomu's arms. He pulled hard, trying to pin it. The cables strained. They started to fray. Hawks's feathers sliced at joints and tendons, aiming to slow it, not to kill. The Nomu barely noticed. It moved forward anyway, not toward the heroes, toward Hulk. Hawk's stomach dropped. It's going for him on purpose. Aizawa's eyes burned red as he locked on the Nomu. Its movement stuttered. Good, but its body still moved. Even slowed, it pushed forward like a bulldozer. It was made to keep going. And as it got closer, sensors in the control room started screaming. Not out loud, because Nezu had ordered quiet, but on the screens. Energy readings rose as the Nomu took hits. The more it got hurt, the stronger it became. Nezu's voice came through comms, calm but urgent. "It is adapting through damage. Do not feed it unlimited force. Use restraint tactics." Mirko barked a laugh, even as she dodged a swinging arm. "Restraint? This thing is trying to eat my face." Endeavor flew in with a burst of flame, aiming to push the Nomu away from Hulk. He blasted the ground in front of it, trying to make a wall of fire. The Nomu walked through it. Its skin charred, then healed. It smiled like it liked the pain. Hulk watched all of this. His eyes tracked the Nomu. He saw the way it moved, the way it didn't care. He recognized the shape of a thing, built for war. His anger rose, fast and sharp, but this time, another feeling rose with it. Disgust, because he could see the trick. This thing wasn't here to win. It was here to keep him angry. Hulk growled, low and dangerous. He took a step forward. Aizawa's voice snapped, "Don't!" Hulk did not listen. The Nomu lunged, claws reaching for Hulk's chest. Hulk caught its wrists midair. The force stopped the Nomu like it had hit a wall. For a moment, everything went silent, except the grinding sound of muscle against muscle. Hawks watched from above and felt his throat tighten. Hulk's hands were shaking, not from weakness, from holding back. If Hulk let go fully, the shock could flatten the facility and everyone in it. The Nomu leaned close, mouth wide, and bit Hulk's shoulder. Blood ran. The Nomu's eyes brightened like it had been rewarded. Hulk's face twisted. A low rumble built in his chest. The ground under them began to crack in a circle. Mirko yelled, "He's going to pop!" All Might's heart hammered. He could feel it too. The pressure, like the air was becoming heavy metal. This was the edge Banner had warned about. Lose hope. Break everything. All Might ran closer than he had before, stopping just short of reach. He didn't raise a fist. He raised his voice. "Hulk!" All Might shouted. "Look!" Hulk's eyes flicked to him, furious. All Might pointed, fast, toward the facility's far side. A support building had collapsed during the Nomu's rise. A corner of roof had dropped. Dust still poured out. Inside, people were trapped. Rescue workers had tried to reach them, but had pulled back when the fake broadcast hit. All Might's voice stayed steady, even as fear clawed his chest. People are stuck. They need help. Hulk's hands tightened on the Nomu's wrists. His breath came in harsh pulls. The Nomu thrashed and laughed, trying to keep Hulk focused on pain. Hawk saw a second wave of the trap then, and his blood went cold. On the far ridge, tiny glints. Scopes. Not heroes. Not rescue. Hidden shooters. They fired. Not at Hulk's head. Not to kill. At the ground near the rescue building. Boom. 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 Small explosions. Enough to cause more collapse. Enough to make it look like hero forces were using force near civilians. Enough to make Hulk believe the worst. Aizawa saw it too. "Snipers, not ours!" Hawk's feathers shot out like darts toward the ridge, fast and precise. He wasn't trying to kill. He was trying to stop the shooters. But the shooters moved like trained pros. They weren't there to fight Hawks. They were there to fire and vanish. All for One's plan wasn't about winning a battle. It was about breaking trust. Hulk's eyes snapped toward the collapsing building. He heard the trapped screams. He heard the blasts. He heard, in his head, the word containment, like a stamp on his skin. His rage spiked so hard the ground buckled. A shockwave rolled outward. Windows in the facility shattered. Mirko hit the dirt and skidded. Best Jeanist's cable snapped loose like string. Endeavor dug his feet in, flames flaring just to stay upright. And still, in the center, Hulk held the Nomu. Hulk could end it now. One full smash. One full release. He could crack the land open and bury everything. That was what the trap wanted. Then a small voice cut through the chaos, close enough to matter. Hulk! It wasn't All Might's voice this time. It was younger. Izuku Midoriya had arrived at the facility with permission that felt more like desperation than approval. He had been part of a backup team meant to help evacuate staff. He had not been meant to step into the yard, but he did. He ran in, breathing hard, hair whipping in the pressure. Aizawa's eyes widened. Kid! Izuku didn't stop. His legs moved on their own. He stopped well short of Hulk's reach, but close enough that Hulk could see his face clearly. Izuku forced his voice to stay steady. Banner! Izuku shouted. Bruce Banner! If you're there, please listen! Hulk's eyes flickered. Just a flicker. Izuku swallowed fear and kept going. They're trying to trick you. The voice on the speaker was fake. The explosions are fake. They want you to hit us. Hulk growled, but the sound shook. Izuku pointed at the trapped building. Those people are real! That's real! The Nomu jerked, claws scraping Hulk's arms. It tried to bite again. It wanted Hulk's mind on pain. Izuku clenched his fists. His whole body wanted to run, but he stayed. He spoke again, voice shaking now but clear. You saved people before, Izuku said. You did it in the city. You can do it again. Hulk stared at him. For 1 second, the anger didn't vanish, but it paused, like a huge engine, hesitating. Inside Hulk's eyes, something human surfaced, strained and scared. Banner's voice rasped out, barely there. Kid, get back! Izuku's eyes widened. Banner. Banner's breath hitched. He's on the edge. Don't corner. Izuku nodded hard. We're not cornering you. We're asking for help. Hulk's hands trembled. Then Hulk made his choice. He did not smash the facility. He did not attack the heroes. He turned his body, still gripping the Nomu, and threw it, not toward people, toward empty testing ground far from any buildings. The Nomu flew like a cannonball and crashed into dirt, carving a long trench. Hulk didn't chase it right away. He sprinted toward the collapsed rescue building instead. Every step shook the ground, but he aimed his weight away from the weakest parts. He reached the broken roof edge, grabbed a huge slab, and lifted it like it was a door. Rescue workers ran in. Hulk held the slab steady while they pulled people out. One worker stared up at Hulk, face pale, then kept moving because the trapped people mattered more than fear. A child coughed in dust and crawled out. Hulk set the slab down slowly once the last person was clear. Then Hulk turned back to the Nomu. Now his anger had a target that made sense. Not heroes. Not civilians. The thing that had been made to push him. The Nomu rose from the trench, laughing again, skin healing, eyes bright with hunger. It charged Hulk. Hulk met it head on. This time, Hulk did not just smash. He used control. He grabbed the Nomu, twisted, and slammed it into the ground in a way that drove it deeper, pinning it in earth like a stake. Best Jeanist's cable snapped back into motion, wrapping the Nomu's limbs while it was trapped. Hawks's feathers pinned joints at angles that made movement harder. Mirko hit the Nomu's head again and again, not to outpower it, but to keep it dizzy. Endeavor focused his heat in short bursts to cauterize and slow regeneration, without feeding it constant damage. Aizawa kept erasure locked on the Nomu, sweat running down his face from strain, refusing to blink longer than a heartbeat. And Hulk finished it in the simplest way. He grabbed the Nomu's skull with both hands and crushed it down into the earth until the body stopped moving. No roar, no victory pose. Just a hard, final stop. When it was done, Hulk stood over the broken thing, breathing heavy. His chest rose and fell. His fists loosened slowly. He looked toward the ridge where the snipers had been. They were gone. Only dust remained. Hulk's lip curled, and a low growl rolled out, full of promise. He knew now. Someone was hunting him with tricks. Someone wanted him to break. Hulk turned away from the facility walls and walked out into the open land beyond the gates, like he needed space from anything that looked like a cage. Heroes didn't chase him. They let him go, staying wide, keeping distance, because they had seen how close the world had come to ending, and they had seen something else too. He had chosen rescue again. In the control room, the commission official stared at the damage board. The screen tried to update. Walls destroyed. Diestra. And cost increase. His hands shook as he typed a new line. Subject action. Prevented total collapse. He paused, then added another. Subject action. Assisted rescue. He stared at it for a long time like the words didn't belong on the same form as threat. Hawks leaned over his shoulder and said quietly, "Make sure that one doesn't accidentally get erased." The official swallowed. People won't believe it. Hawks looked out the shattered window toward the open fields where Hulk's green shape moved farther away. "They will if the right people say it," Hawks said, "and if we don't screw it up." Outside, All Might stood with Aizawa and watched Hulk's back disappear into distance. All Might's voice was low. "Banner is real." Aizawa nodded once, eyes narrowed. "And villains will try to drag Banner back under." All Might clenched his hands. "Then we keep giving him reasons to come up." Aizawa's gaze stayed hard, but his voice softened just a fraction. "And we keep our people from acting like the enemy." Far away, in a hidden place, All for One watched the facility footage. He saw Hulk choose rescue. He saw Hulk refuse the cage, refuse the bait. His smile did not fade. It only changed. "So," All for One murmured, almost pleased, "the giant has a heart." He leaned back in the dark. "That," he said softly, "is the easiest part to hurt." 2 weeks later, the city still had cracks. Some were in roads and walls. Some were in people. Hawks could feel it every time he flew over Musutafu. The skyline looked fine from far away, but the mood was different. People stared up more. Kids held their parents' hands tighter. And every time a siren started, too many people flinched like they expected the sky to rip open again. Hawks didn't blame them. He had watched a high-end Nomu get crushed like it was made of chalk. He had watched a giant choose rescue while the ground tried to split under his feet. He also knew the worst part. Someone had planned it. Now, the giant stayed away from the city most days. That was not because the heroes contained him. They didn't have a box that could do that. It was because the giant had chosen open land over crowded streets. They treated him like a moving storm with a mind. They didn't chase. They didn't corner. They watched, guided, and cleared people out of his path. Sometimes that worked. Sometimes it was terrifying. Hawks watched from the air as Hulk walked through a wide valley outside the city. No roads, just dirt and scattered trees. The sun made Hulk's green skin look almost normal from a distance. Almost. A small landslide had hit a village road earlier that day. Not huge, but enough to trap a bus and block an ambulance route. Rescue teams arrived first. They tried to move the rocks with machines. The machines broke. They called for help. Hulk showed up without warning. He didn't land from the sky. He didn't smash through the earth. He just walked out of the trees like he had been there all along. People screamed at first. Then they saw what he did. He grabbed a boulder bigger than a car. He lifted it. He set it down in a safe pile. Then another. Then another. He didn't rush. He didn't roar. He worked like a machine that understood balance and weight. Hawks watched the rescue workers stare like they were looking at a myth. A driver in the stuck bus held up a phone, hands shaking, filming from behind the window. Hawks sighed. "Please don't," he muttered, knowing it wouldn't matter. After the road was clear, a rescue worker bowed from far away. No one got too close. No one tried to hand Hulk a medal. No one tried to touch him. Hulk looked at them for a long second. Then he turned and walked off again. Hawks reported it anyway. He had to. Everything became a report. Back at the commission office, the reports became something worse. They became paperwork. The same official who had tried to score walls destroyed now had a whole new folder. The cover said, Hulk Management Protocols. Inside were forms with boxes that didn't fit real life. Has the subject displayed heroic intent? Has the subject displayed villain intent? Has the subject displayed neutral intent? Has the subject displayed property intent? The official stared at the last line for a long time, then wrote in the margin, "What does this even mean?" In a meeting room, the commission tried to solve the biggest problem they had ever faced with the smallest tool they owned. A name tag. "We should offer him a provisional license," one official said, sweating. "If we can legally classify him, we can legally manage him." A second official nodded fast. "A special emergency contractor, like heavy equipment, but alive." Aizawa was there, standing in the back, arms crossed. His eyes looked half dead from lack of sleep. He said, flatly, "If you try to give him a license, he will hear the word register and think cage." All Might sat at the table, shoulders tense. "And if you treat him like equipment, you'll lose him." The first official frowned. "Lose him? He's not on our side." All Might didn't raise his voice, but his tone had steel. "He's not on your side either. He's on his own. That's the point." Nezu appeared on a screen, calm as always. "If you must create forms, then create forms that help rescue teams move civilians faster. Not forms that make you feel in control." The official opened his mouth, then he closed it. Then he muttered, "Rescue forms don't make the public feel safe." Aizawa said, "Rescue work makes the public alive." That meeting ended the same way most meetings ended now. No victory, just a plan to avoid disaster for one more day. The real work happened in quiet places. One of those places was a temporary lab trailer set up near the remote facility. It wasn't a cage. It was a tool shed for brains. It had thick walls, soft lighting, and no loud alarms. They kept the doors open when Hulk was nearby. They kept the exits clear. They kept the rules simple. No sudden moves. No weapons in sight. No lies. Banner came in short windows, sometimes for seconds, sometimes for minutes. It depended on how calm Hulk was. It also depended on how tired Hulk was. That night, Banner surfaced while sitting on the ground outside the trailer, back against the steps. The stars were bright above the empty fields. Deku sat a safe distance away, cross-legged on the dirt. He didn't move closer. He didn't push. He just waited, like he had learned to do around wild animals and scared people. Banner looked thin inside Hulk's face, like the human part didn't fit the body. His eyes darted, always checking for traps. "You're still here," Banner said, voice hoarse. Deku nodded. "Yes." Banner let out a shaky breath. "That's either brave or stupid." Deku's mouth twitched. "It's probably both." Banner almost smiled. It didn't last. He looked at the trailer. "Your principal?" "The small one." "Nezu," Deku said. Banner nodded. "He's smart." "He is," Deku agreed. Banner rubbed his face, then winced because the skin was too thick to feel normal. "I'm trying to build something simple," he said. "Not a cure, not a leash, just an anchor." Deku leaned forward slightly. "The breathing protocol?" Banner nodded. "A rhythm, a pattern, something Hulk can follow when the anger spikes." He swallowed. "When he's close to breaking." Deku's hands tightened on his knees. "Can it work?" Banner stared at the dirt for a moment. "Sometimes. Not always." His voice turned sharp with fear. "If you corner him, he won't follow anything. He'll just—" Banner stopped. He didn't finish. Deku didn't force him to. Banner continued, quieter. "He thinks people always lie. He thinks control always turns into chains." Deku nodded slowly. Someone tried to prove him right. Banner's eyes lifted. "The fake broadcast." "Yes," Deku said. "We found traces. Hawks tracked some of the signal path. It wasn't the commission." Banner's shoulders dropped a fraction. "Good," he whispered. Then his face tightened again. "Bad too, because it means someone else has the tools." Deku looked at him carefully. "We think it's the one behind the Nomu." Banner blinked. "Nomu?" Deku explained in simple words. "Human-like monsters. Built, not born. Made by a villain with many powers." Banner's expression didn't change much, but his eyes went colder. "A collector," he said. "A thief." Deku nodded. "Yes." Banner's breathing picked up, like Hulk's anger heard the word thief and woke up. Deku spoke fast, calm voice, simple words. "We're not letting him take you." Banner's eyes flicked to him. Why do you care? Deku didn't answer with a speech. He answered with the truth he had. Because you asked us not to make him think we're the enemy. Banner stared at him like that was hard to understand. Then Banner whispered, you can't save everyone from him. Deku swallowed. I know. Banner's voice broke a little. Then why try? Deku's answer was quiet. Because if we don't try, then the villain wins for free. For a moment, Banner's eyes looked tired in a way that was very human. Kid, he said softly, you're going to get hurt. Deku nodded. I already do. Banner let out a rough laugh. It turned into a cough. He pressed his palm to the ground like he was steadying himself. Listen, Banner said, words coming faster like time was running out. If a man offers you an easy door out of pain, don't take it. Doors like that are traps. Deku blinked. A man? Banner's eyes narrowed. He's watching. The one who sent the monsters. He'll try to talk. He'll try to offer. Deku's stomach sank. To Hulk? Banner nodded. To Hulk. To me. To both of us. He swallowed hard. He'll offer to separate us. He'll offer peace. Deku felt cold. Can he do that? Banner's face tightened. I don't know what your world can do, but I know what liars claim they can do. Banner's eyes flickered. The change hit him like a wave from behind. His jaw clenched. His shoulders rose. The human fear vanished under a rising growl. Deku held still. He didn't reach out. He didn't move toward him. Thanks, Deku said softly, even as Hulk's glare returned, for warning me. Hulk stared at Deku with hard eyes. Then, in a low rumble, Hulk spoke two words that sounded like a threat and a promise at the same time. No, Cage. Then Hulk stood and walked away into the dark field. Deku stayed seated until the sound of Hulk's footsteps faded. He didn't feel safe, but he felt something else. A thin thread of connection. And he knew someone else had noticed that thread too. Because 2 nights later, the offer came. It didn't come with fireworks. It came with quiet. Hulk was alone near a dry riverbed outside the facility. Moonlight made the rocks look pale. The air was still. No drones. No cameras close. Heroes stayed far on purpose. Hulk liked it that way. Then the shadows changed. The air bent, like heat rippling off asphalt. A dark opening formed between 2 rocks. Not a portal like the sky tear that had dropped Hulk here. This one was controlled. Clean. Intentional. A man's voice came from the darkness. Hello, it said, calm and polite, like a host greeting a guest. Hulk's body tensed at once. His eyes narrowed. The voice continued. You don't know me, but I know you. Hulk didn't answer. He didn't need to. His hands clenched. The ground under his feet cracked slightly. The voice chuckled. Yes, that power, that anger, that pain. Hulk took 1 step toward the opening. The voice didn't flinch. I can give you something, it said. A door. Hulk growled low. A door home, the voice said softly. Or a door to revenge. Your choice. Hulk froze for half a second. Home. The word hit something deep. His chest rose. The air pressure thickened. The voice sensed it and pushed. They tried to control you, it said. They watched you. They judged you. They would cage you if they could. Hulk's eyes burned. They lie, the voice said gently. They smile like heroes, but they fear you. Fear becomes chains. Hulk's jaw clenched. Then, like a knife sliding into a crack, the voice used a different name. Bruce, it said. Hulk's whole body twitched. Banner stirred. The voice stayed smooth. Bruce Banner. You don't have to suffer inside him. I can separate you. Banner pushed up, fighting for air. Hulk's eyes flickered. Human fear, flashing through. Banner's voice came out strained. Who are you? The voice sounded pleased. Someone who understands monsters, it said. Someone who gives monsters purpose. Banner's breath hitched. You sent the Nomu. The voice laughed softly. I sent a test. Banner's face tightened with anger. People almost died. Yes, the voice said, still calm. And yet you saved them, which means you can be guided. Banner's eyes widened. We're not your weapon. The voice turned slightly colder. Then stay a prisoner here, it said. Stay in a world that fears you. Banner's chest rose fast. Panic threatened to pull him under. Then Banner remembered Deku, the warning he had given. Doors like that are traps. Banner forced the words out. If you can send me home, do it without a price. The voice paused, just a beat. Then it smiled in the sound of its tone. Everything has a price, it said, but I can make the price feel fair. Hulk's growl rolled up from deep, drowning Banner's voice. Hulk took over again, anger snapping back like a chain pulled tight. Hulk stepped forward and slammed his fist beside the portal, not into it, but into the rock next to it. The rock exploded into gravel. The portal flickered. The voice didn't panic. It sounded amused. Strong, it said, but not free, not yet. Hulk roared. The portal snapped shut like a blinking eye. Hulk stood alone again, breathing hard, rage shaking his ribs. Somewhere far away, All for One smiled in the dark. He had not won, but he had made contact. And now he knew the door he needed to open was not the sky. It was the wound. The next morning, Nezu didn't waste time. He called the core group. All Might, Aizawa, Hawks, Best Genist, Endeavor, and Deku, because Banner's warning had made him part of the most dangerous conversation in the room. Nezu's tone was calm, but his eyes were sharp. He spoke to the subject. Aizawa's scarf twitched. How close? Close enough, Hawks said, jaw tight. We saw the distortion. We didn't move in. If we rushed, we could have triggered a fight. All Might looked at Deku. Did Banner say anything? Deku nodded. He kept it simple. He warned me. He said a man would offer a door. He said it would be a trap. Endeavor's fists clenched. Then we hunt the man. Hawk's eyes flicked to Endeavor. We've been hunting him. Nezu tapped the table. A map appeared on the screen. A wide, empty industrial quarry far from dense towns. Hard ground, open space, few buildings. Easy to evacuate. We choose the battlefield, Nezu said. Or he chooses it for us. Aizawa's gaze hardened. He'll lure Hulk there. Nezu nodded. Yes. All Might's voice was low, and he'll try to make Hulk believe we're the enemy. Nezu looked at everyone. Then we must remove the lie. Hawks frowned. How do you remove a lie from someone who expects lies? Nezu's answer was simple. With consistent truth. Endeavor scoffed. Truth doesn't stop decay. Aizawa's eyes narrowed. It might stop Hulk from turning on us while we deal with decay. The room went quiet at the name, because everyone knew Shigaraki was the sharpest knife in this villain war. And if Shigaraki got close enough to touch Hulk the wrong way, it could turn into a disaster no one could undo. Nezu's plan was not about winning in a normal sense. It was about making sure the world still existed when the day ended. They moved fast. Within 48 hours, the quarry was empty. Roads blocked. Evac signs up. Rescue teams positioned far away. Medical teams ready. Comms locked down. They didn't wait for villains to choose the time. They acted like they were already in the fight. The fight started at sunset. First came the warp distortions. Dark openings blinking into the air like holes punched through cloth. Nomu poured out. Not as many as a full army, but enough to be a wall of bodies. Then came Shigaraki. He stepped out of a warp gate with a lazy posture and dead eyes, hands loose at his sides. His hair moved in the wind. His smile was thin. Wow, he said, voice flat. You picked a nice empty place. Aizawa's eyes locked on him at once. His red glare hit like a spotlight. Shigaraki's movement stuttered slightly, but not enough. Not clean enough. Shigaraki's lips twitched. Still trying, he murmured. Behind Shigaraki, the air bent again. A presence moved behind the gates, not stepping through fully, like a man who preferred to stay just out of reach. A voice rolled out, calm and sure. You did well, it said. You chose a place with fewer civilians. You are learning. All Might's stomach tightened. That voice, smooth, confident, like it had never been afraid in its life. All for One. All Might's fists clenched. He wanted to charge, to end it, to make this simple, but it wasn't simple anymore, because the ground shook. Hulk arrived. He didn't fall from the sky this time. He came over the quarry ridge like a moving mountain. His eyes were locked on the warp gates. His face was hard with anger that had sharpened into focus. He had smelled the trap. He had come anyway. Shigaraki looked up at Hulk like he was studying a new toy. You're big, he said, bored voice hiding real interest. "Let's see what happens when I touch you." Hulk roared, and the quarry dust jumped. All Might stepped forward, just enough for Hulk to see him. All Might's voice cut through the noise. "That voice you heard before, he's the liar. He's the one who sent the monsters." Hulk's eyes flicked to All Might, then back to the gates. All for One's voice drifted like smoke. "I sent the tests," it said. "I sent the truth. They fear you." A fake broadcast crackled through hidden speakers around the quarry, loud and harsh. "Capture protocol. Restrain the subject. Use force." Deku's chest tightened. "They're doing it again." Hulk's breathing spiked. His fists clenched. The ground cracked under his feet. All Might shouted, "That's not us." Aizawa snapped into his mic, voice sharp. "Hawks! Speakers!" Hawk's feathers shot out, slicing through speaker boxes hidden in rock pockets. One after another, the fake orders died, but the damage was already done. Hulk's anger surged. Shigaraki moved like a shadow and reached for Hulk's ankle again. This time, Hulk was ready. He stomped hard, not to attack Shigaraki directly, but to break the ground under Shigaraki's feet. The earth split. Shigaraki had to jump back to avoid falling into the crack. He landed on a rock shelf and laughed once, short and dry. "Okay," he said. "You learned fast." He slapped his hand down on the quarry floor. Decay raced outward in a wave, crawling over stone like rot spreading. The ground disintegrated into dust and collapsed. Heroes leapt back. Best Genist yanked allies with cables. Endeavor blasted upward to avoid the ground entirely. Hulk jumped. He didn't fly. He launched. His leap cleared the decay wave by distance alone. He landed on a solid ledge, and the impact made a shock that rolled outward, but the open space swallowed some of it. Shigaraki's eyes widened a fraction. "That's annoying!" Hulk charged. Shigaraki lifted a hand to touch again. Hulk ripped a huge slab of rock from the quarry wall and swung it like a shield. Shigaraki's fingers hit the slab. Decay ate through it instantly, but the slab was thick enough to buy one heartbeat. Hulk used that heartbeat to backhand Shigaraki with the remaining chunk. Shigaraki flew, slammed into a cliff face, and caught himself with one hand, Decay eating the rock to stop his fall. He dropped to the ground, dusting off his coat like he was offended. Endeavor moved in, flames low and tight. He didn't try to beat Shigaraki alone. He followed the plan. He pushed heat in controlled bursts to force Shigaraki's movement without feeding chaos. Best Genist's fibers whipped around, aiming not to bind Shigaraki completely, because decay would erase them, but to snap and tug his arms at key moments, throwing off timing. Hawks's feathers pinned Shigaraki's sleeves to a rock face for a split second. Aizawa kept his eyes locked, refusing to blink longer than he had to. Deku stayed mobile, watching Hulk more than Shigaraki, because Hulk was the bigger storm, and storms didn't need to be evil to kill everyone. All for One's voice rolled again. "Hulk," it said warmly, like calling a friend. "They will never accept you. Come with me. I will give you a door." A warp gate opened behind Hulk, showing a flicker of another sky, another color. Not clear enough to prove it was home, but clear enough to tempt. Hulk's head turned slightly. Home. His chest tightened. The quarry air thickened. Deku felt it. All Might felt it. Even Shigaraki paused, annoyed that his fun might end too fast. Deku shouted, voice cracking but clear. "It's a trick! He can show you anything!" All for One's voice had turned soft. "Bruce," it said, "you're tired. I can give you rest." Hulk's eyes flickered. Banner surfaced in a flash, like a man gasping out of deep water. His voice rasped. "No." All for One laughed quietly. "You can't keep saying no forever." Banner's face twisted with fear and anger. "You're using him." All for One's tone stayed smooth. "Of course I am. Everyone is." Banner looked toward All Might, toward Deku, toward the heroes who had chosen evacuation over pride. Banner swallowed hard. His eyes shimmered with something close to hope and terror mixed together. "They didn't," Banner started, then clenched his jaw. "They didn't cage us." All for One's voice sharpened. "Not yet." Banner's breath hitched. Hulk tried to surge back up. Deku stepped closer than he should have, still out of reach. but close enough to be seen. He lifted his hands, palms open, copying All Might's posture. "Banner," Deku said fast. "You told me doors like that are traps. Please, stay with us." Banner's eyes locked on Deku. For a second, Banner held. Then Hulk rose back up, rage trying to swallow the moment. But something had changed. The lie didn't stick as easily. Hulk turned away from the tempting gate and faced the real threat again. The gate behind him flickered. All for One's voice sounded amused. "So you choose to fight," Hulk roared. He lunged toward the warp gate source, smashing Nomu aside like they were dolls. Each hit sent bodies flying, but he kept his swings low and controlled when heroes were near. Like part of him remembered what "don't crush allies" meant. Shigaraki saw an opening and dashed in, fingers reaching for Hulk's knee. Aizawa's eyes burned brighter. Shigaraki stuttered. Just enough. Hulk stomped again, cracking the ground, forcing Shigaraki back. But Shigaraki was patient in a cruel way. He didn't need to win right now. He only needed one touch. He spread decay across the quarry floor again, making the ground unsafe and forcing Hulk to leap from ledge to ledge. Hulk adapted. He ripped slabs of stone and threw them down like stepping stones, creating his own path over collapsing ground. Endeavor's flames blasted dust away, trying to keep sightlines clear for Aizawa. Best Genist yanked Nomu limbs with fibers, keeping them from swarming Aizawa's position. Hawks cut through the edges of the warp network, slicing support devices and relay drones. Still, the warp gates kept opening and closing, like a breathing mouth. Nezu's voice came through comms. "Steady. The gates are linked to a core," he said. "Find the core, break it, everything collapses." Hawks's feathers moved, scanning, feeling for airflow shifts. "I don't see it," Hawks said, tense. "They hit it." Nezu replied, "Then look for what the villain protects." All for One's voice drifted again. "Smart," it said, "but not smart enough." A new gate opened near the center of the quarry. Not wide, just wide enough to show a black machine inside, humming with energy, surrounded by Nomu like guards. "A core," Hawks cursed. "There." All Might's muscles tensed. He moved, but he wasn't fast enough anymore to reach it first. Hulk charged straight toward the core gate. Shigaraki saw it too, and grinned. He sprinted along the collapsing ledges, aiming to meet Hulk at the gate. If Shigaraki touched Hulk at the gate, with the core behind him, it could turn into a chain reaction of decay and rage, right where they couldn't afford it. Deku's mind raced. He remembered Banner's work, the anchor, the rhythm. He shouted, "Hulk, don't go through! Smash the ground under it!" Hulk didn't look at him, but he heard the direction in the voice. Hulk skidded, feet carving trenches in dirt. Shigaraki lunged. Endeavor slammed down in front of Shigaraki in a burst of flame, forcing him to dodge sideways. Best Genist snapped fibers across Shigaraki's wrists for half of a second, just enough to ruin timing. Aizawa kept erasure locked, eyes watering. Hulk took that half second and made a choice that looked almost careful. He didn't leap into the gate. He didn't throw a wild punch that would send a shockwave through everything. He drove both fists into the quarry floor just in front of the gate, like pile drivers. The ground collapsed inward. A deep pit formed. The warp gate wavered as the earth under its anchor point broke. Hulk grabbed the edge of the pit and tore it wider, dragging the warp anchor down. The core machine inside the gate tilted. Hulk slammed again, down into the pit, burying the machine under tons of stone and dirt in one controlled, brutal motion. The warp gate flickered wildly. Then it snapped shut. All the other gates around the quarry wobbled like candles in wind. One by one, they died. Nomu that were mid-step stumbled as the support vanished. Some fell. Some thrashed. Some tried to run. But without gates, they were just monsters in an empty quarry. All for One's voice cut out mid-word. Silence hit the battlefield for one breath. Then Shigaraki screamed in anger, not fear. "No!" he snarled and slapped the ground again. Decay surged. Hulk leapt back just in time as the pit edge crumbled away. Rock and dirt disintegrated into dust. The buried core was being eaten. Deku's heart slammed. "He's trying to destroy the proof!" Hawks moved fast, feathers shooting down into the collapsing pit, not to save the machine, but to tag it with tracking sensors and cut remaining support lines. Endeavor blasted heat into the air to clear dust for Aizawa's sightline. Best Jeanist pulled Aizawa back a step as the ground under them started to crumble. Hulk landed on a stable ledge and roared at Shigaraki. Pure fury. Shigaraki glared back, eyes wild, face twisted. "You think you're special?" he hissed. "You're just another thing that breaks." Hulk took a step forward, and Shigaraki lunged for the touch. Hulk swung a rock slab again, but decay ate it. Shigaraki's fingers grazed Hulk's forearm. The skin gray rippled for a second. Hulk snarled in pain and yanked back hard enough to tear his own arm free of the danger zone. The gray stopped spreading. The skin healed, slowly, like thick bark growing back. Shigaraki stared, shocked for the first time. "What?" Hulk didn't give him time. Hulk grabbed a chunk of quarry wall and threw it like a meteor. Shigaraki dodged, decay chewing a path through rock to escape. Hulk followed, but he didn't chase into the decay wave blindly. He stomped from ledge to ledge, making distance, forcing Shigaraki to keep moving too. Aizawa's eyes were red and raw. He blinked once, quick, twice. That was enough. Shigaraki's movement smoothed for a moment. He smiled. Cruel. "There you are." Deku saw it. Shigaraki was lining up the one touch. Deku moved. He didn't try to out-punch Shigaraki. He wasn't that kind of strong yet. He used speed and angle. He slammed a controlled burst of One for All into the ground beside Shigaraki, not at Shigaraki, making a shock that knocked Shigaraki off balance without needing a direct hit. Shigaraki stumbled. Hulk was there. Hulk grabbed Shigaraki by the collar and lifted him, arm shaking with anger. Shigaraki's fingers clawed for Hulk's wrist, trying to touch again. Hulk held him at distance, like holding a spider over fire. Shigaraki laughed through clenched teeth. "Do it!" he hissed. "Smash me! Prove you're just like me!" Hulk's eyes burned. For a second, everyone felt the edge again. The part where Hulk could choose to end everything the messy way. Then Banner flashed through, just for a heartbeat. His eyes were human and terrified. His mouth moved. "No!" Banner rasped. Hulk's grip tightened. Not to crush Shigaraki. To throw him. Hulk hurled Shigaraki far across the quarry, toward an empty stretch of collapsing ground, away from heroes. Shigaraki hit, rolled, and vanished into a decay fog, retreating like a wounded animal that still promised to bite later. The remaining Nomu, without gates and without direction, broke apart under coordinated hero attacks. They didn't win with glory. They won by surviving the math of disaster. When it ended, the quarry was a scar. Hulk stood on a ledge, breathing hard, chest heaving, dust on his skin, blood drying on his arm. All Might stood below at a safe distance, looking up. No cheering, no crowd. Just two figures in an empty place that almost became a graveyard. All Might's voice carried. "You didn't take his door." Hulk stared. All Might continued, simple and honest. "You chose people." Hulk's eyes narrowed like he hated being praised. He growled low. "No. Cage." All Might nodded. "No cage." Aizawa walked up beside All Might, scarf hanging loose, eyes red. He didn't soften his tone, but he didn't aim it like a weapon either. "They'll try again," Aizawa said. "The liar. The decay kid. They'll keep trying to push you." Hulk stared at Aizawa. Aizawa added, "If you want space, you get it. If you want to leave, we can't stop you. But if you stay, don't let them aim you." Hulk's jaw clenched. He looked at his own hands. Big hands that could crush anything. Then he looked at the broken quarry floor where decay had eaten stone like it was paper. He remembered the trapped voices in the facility rubble. Hulk turned away without another word and walked off into the empty land beyond the quarry. Alone again. Hawks watched him go from above, wings heavy with exhaustion. He muttered, "There goes our biggest problem, and our biggest help." The commission official arrived hours later with a fresh clipboard, stepping carefully over cracks like paper could protect him. He stared at the destruction and whispered, "This will take years to pay off." He flipped to a blank page, wrote a title, then crossed it out. He tried again. Hulk Incident Summary. Quarry. Under Outcome, he wrote. Civilians. 0 casualties. Confirmed. Heroes. Injured. Multiple. Villains. Retreated. Subject. Prevented portal network expansion. ST. He paused, then added in smaller letters. Subject. Refused recruitment. He didn't know why he wrote that last part. It wasn't a normal field on any form, but it felt important. A week later, the world tried to return to routine. It didn't fully work. Some people called Hulk a monster. Some called him a guardian. Most people didn't know what to call him at all. The commission tried one last time to solve the problem with paperwork. They brought a thick envelope to the remote facility. They didn't bring it to Hulk directly. They were not that brave. They handed it to All Might. All Might opened it and saw the heading. Provisional Hero Registration. Special Response Entity. He sighed. He walked out into the open field where Hulk sat alone, staring at the horizon like he was watching for a war that never ended. All Might stopped far away, held the envelope up, then set it on the ground. "I'm not asking you to sign," All Might called out. "I just wanted you to know what they're thinking." Hulk glanced at the envelope like it was trash. All Might added, "You don't belong to them." Hulk's eyes narrowed. All Might kept his voice steady. "And you don't belong to the villain either." Hulk's jaw tightened. All Might waited. After a long moment, Hulk stood, walked over, and stepped on the envelope. Paper crunched. He didn't rip it. He didn't smash it with rage. He just crushed it flat under his foot, like ending the conversation. Then Hulk walked away again. All Might couldn't help it. He smiled a little. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. The night wind off the coast was cold. Hulk sat on a cliff above the sea, far from cities and cameras. The waves hit the rocks below in a steady rhythm. He didn't like loud crowds. He didn't like walls. But he didn't mind the ocean. The ocean didn't judge him. The ocean didn't try to name him. His breathing slowed with the sound of the waves. For the first time in days, Banner surfaced for more than a few seconds. He blinked and stared at the dark water like he was trying to remember how to be a man. He had a piece of paper in his hand. He didn't remember picking it up, but it was there. He held it like it mattered. Behind him, footsteps crunched on gravel. Banner tensed. Then he heard the voice. Not a villain voice. Not a commission voice. A tired human voice. A rescue worker stood at a safe distance, hands raised, palms open. He had a headlamp turned down low, so it wouldn't feel like a spotlight. "I'm not here to get close," the worker said quickly. I wanted to leave something." He set a small laminated card on the ground and backed away. Banner stared at it. The worker bowed once, then turned and walked back toward a parked van far down the path. Banner waited until the van was gone. Then he walked over slowly and picked up the card. It was simple. No logo, no threat level, no hero license number. Just handwriting. "Thank you for holding the roof." Banner's throat tightened. He stared at the words until they blurred. He looked back at the ocean, breathing hard. "Maybe," Banner whispered. "We can do this." He folded the card carefully and tucked it into a pocket that didn't really exist, but the body remembered the motion anyway. Banner's eyes flickered. Hulk pressed up. Banner fought it, just a little, and won one last second. He placed the card on a flat stone near the cliff edge, weighted it with a smaller rock so the wind wouldn't steal it. A small marker, a choice. Then Hulk took over again. Hulk stood, looking down at the card like it was a strange thing he didn't understand but didn't want to destroy. The wind tugged at his hair. The ocean roared below, steady and endless. In the distance, far from the cliff, a city glowed with lights. Hulk could go there and break it if he wanted. He didn't. He turned away from the edge and walked along the cliff path. Not toward a cage, not toward a villain's door, just forward, one heavy step at a time, while the world kept living around him, different now, but still living.